Great spirits get incredible resistance from mediocre minds. Mediocre minds hate to see an alive intellect. Einstein said, great spirits get violent opposition. Now, in alternative medicine, I've always been given this resistance by small minds. And even though I've created all of the different devices in Nelson medicine, from Skio and Eductor, and all these devices are based on my work, yet these people want to give resistance. They want to tell lies behind my back. If they're telling lies behind my back, do yourself a simple favor. Do a conference call. Do a conference call. Anybody that's telling you that I'm lying or whatever, anybody disparaging, insinuating that I'm telling you some type of lie, do a conference call. Let's get to the truth. Or will the cockroaches run to the wall? Well, I want to really show you today some of the things I've done, some of the things that might help you to understand who I am, what the history is. Okay, and I'm going to start with a little interview that I did back in the 90s. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Don't tell lies, rumors, etc. This is a commandment, not a guideline. But you see, some stupid people will believe anything. But if you have any problems, do a conference call. Don't just spread rumors.
With the advancements of different type of medicine, being one of the first to put NDC numbers on homeopathics, the very first to register and get a FDA registration for an energetic medicine device, and being a pioneer and having lots of arrows in my back, it's very interesting, but people have generated an awful lot of rumors about me. Just wanted to take a short period of time. If there are rumors regarding me, I think that's oblivious to the system anyway, but if you would like to engage in discussion or give me a call, I'll be happy to pay for the call. If you want to do a three-way call, I'm happy to pay for that too. But I really would think that in our profession, we need to turn on the lights. And oftentimes when we turn on the lights, cockroaches run for the wall. And unfortunately, many of these rumors are just like cockroaches. They'll run for the wall. If you want to give me a call and we can deal with any of these, be happy to. I don't know what that has to do with the system, but we can still talk. I'll be happy to. I'm an open book, and I'd like to discuss all these things.
Well, I'm going to review my path of intelligence and expertise, and I'm going to start with the Wunderkinder. As a child, I was highly intelligent. They called me the Wunderkinder. And basically, I started working with the Apollo, and basically worked with Apollo 11 and 12. And then Apollo 13, I was very integral in helping to bring the astronauts back. But still, people are telling lies about this. And if they're telling lies, do a conference call. Let's get to the truth, because I'm telling you the truth here. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. See, I worked with Nobel Prize winning, doctor here, Roger Sperry, who did the split brain. And he won the idea of showing that the two different parts of the brain think differently, intuitive versus verbal. And it was very interesting, but this is earth-shattering to medicine. And a lot of the medical people hated it because it showed that there are another way of seeing things. Okay? And then I also worked with the Nobel Prize winner in St. Georgie, Albert St. Georgie, who taught me about quantum physics and the ideas of quantum exchange and electron transport chains, and that how vitamin C wasn't really vitamin C. What he won the Nobel Prize for was not really exactly right, but it opened our eyes and let people think. And then I worked with one of the great intellects of all time, that of Hans Selye. Selye was incredible mind. He created a whole new idea of medicine, that it's accumulated stress. It's the last, we think it's the last straw on the camel's back, but no, it's accumulated stress. And he basically showed us that being symptom-free is not an indicator of health. No, it's not. So we cannot base our medicine on symptoms. We have to grow past that. We have to recognize that being symptom-free is not an indicator of health. We have to measure the blood and the electricity and everything. Then there was another Nobel Prize winner that I worked with, William Fowler, who had discovered the pathway of making the elements in the sun, and him and I worked together on a treatise that we were able to prove that there was transmutation of the elements in the human body. Now this is revolutionary, to actually think that the elements could be changed in the human body, and we were able to prove that in our experimental work and our theoretical work, which was absolutely incredible. Working in New Mexico in 1982, we were able to test almost 1,000 patients for their body electric and start the development of the device. Then I returned to New Mexico in 2022, and you can look, and maybe I look better, I don't know. So also, I had written the Promorpheus, worked with incredible geniuses, and basically came up with the first treatise on quantum biology. I was one of the charter members in the Society of Behavioral Medicine, and I learned that our behavior is very important, and that bad habits can suppress and obstruct the curative process in the body. We need to start our medicine at this point and look at the lifestyle. Back in the 80s, I was one of the charter members in the American Professional Hypnosis Organization, several others, learning how to influence the mind so I could teach others how to do that. Now here is the Cryo liquid microscope, and I use this to be able to check the homeopathy fields by freezing them and look at the crystals that accumulated, and we could find out that there was homeopathy. I had visited Japan, and one of the people in my lecture was Emoto, and I was able to teach him how to do the freezing. And he started doing an awful lot of work with it, with different types of music and emotions. You see, water is a liquid crystal. It has magnetic effects, and it also has memory. Water does have memory. And then in 1986, also, I had gone to Pakistan, where they called me the father of modern homeopathy. So it was very, very interesting. Then in 1989, I was able to get FDA registration of our technology to be able to send information into the body. And I also, in 1992, I was invited to the Royal Society of Medicine for 3 days to lecture. Yes, this is Professor Desiree Dubonnet, and yes, that's me back as Bill Nelson lecturing. I lectured at the Royal Society of Medicine for 3 days in London, England. It was very fascinating. And we made actually a movie about it, Sworn on the Altar. Here's a little excerpt.
It's kind of interesting that we're in the Merck room, and this has been built by one of the chemical companies. One of the chemical companies that has devised synthetic chemistry and put this into our children, into our society. And now the evidence is in. We're finding out that these chemicals don't work.
I taught homeopathy at the London College of Practical Homeopathy in London, and then in Budapest at the #1 medical school, Semmelweis. Here's where I learned, developed, and taught techniques of regenerative medicine. And this is where I came up with the idea of the Nelson method of medicine, and basically looking at the causes of disease. The Nelson method had to do with reducing the causes of disease, restoring health to the organs, regenerative medicine, unblock the blockages, treat symptoms naturally, and then correct the constitutionals. In Hungary, I've done work on all the different AIDS patients and found that there was a pattern of their electrical reactivity with my machine. So I was invited there, and it was very exciting. And the doctors couldn't understand the ideas of bioelectric medicine. Now, when I went there, Luc Montagnier, another Nobel Prize winner who discovered the AIDS virus, he invited me to dinner, and I taught him about the ideas of water memory. I taught him about the ideas of energetic medicine, and he was fascinated at the future of medicine, as he called it. Now, you remember that what I had taught long ago, Mr. Emoto, then basically the same idea of water memory, then Luc Montagnier started doing studies. And he validated and verified this. But the pharmaceutical world could not let the idea that we could put an electrical signal into water that could duplicate their pharmaceuticals, they'd be bankrupt in a couple of years. So they fought that. But water does indeed have a memory, and water indeed does have an intelligence, and that there is a vibrational medicine, and that there is an energetic medicine. This pic is from the FDA database, believe it or not, where they showed that me, a Girard high school graduate, was nominated for the Nobel Prize in medicine. And also, there was another time, because of a treatise I'd written about printing money for the poor, I was nominated for the Nobel Prize in economics. So it was vast, all the different experiences. And I lectured with the great Roger Nelson from the Pear Institute about ideas of how the brain and the mind could influence things, objects. I was invited to lecture in Stockholm, Sweden, at the Nobel Prize hospital. I did a presentation for a couple of days and it was very exciting. All the different doctors were there. Well, the FDA had trumped up cases against me, and basically I had to flee America, and I'm the man who left America to find freedom, who's no longer a man. And then I fought to get the acupuncture needle registered, even made a movie about it called Sworn on the Altar. Many other movies were done with some Nobel Prize winning people to basically show the shifts of paradigm and different ideas, because we had basically patented a quantum tongue, an electric tongue. We could measure things. And just like all of this started way back when I worked on the Apollo project and got all those ideas of electrical engineering.
Hello, my name is Vicky Dubonnet, and you will see a nice little picture of my greatest moments of last year's victory here in New Mexico in fitness category. And you will see several other athletes using biofeedback since long time ago. We have a beautiful history of people winning, succeeding in all kinds of sports, like
gold medal winners, all different types of things. It's incredible.
Basketball, baseball, tennis.
The Chinese Olympics of 2008, the work that we've done is just absolutely astounding. You need to hear more about it. Lectures that I did at the Hungarian Olympic Committee. And just to tell you that I created this whole technology.
Frequencies work.
The technology is still alive. It's registered with the FDA. And also, I'm an international lawyer. I'm specialized in regulatory affairs. That's how I was able to register all these devices. I also specialize in intellectual property law, since these people have stolen my copyright. Now I work together with Doug Reebok and Reebok and Associates to be able to help to clean up some of these things that are happening. My son and I built a course about the Tao, and we've made a lot of videos with George Carlin, and I even made Flicks, intellectual angel movies. Movies with a little bit of an intellectual spark, spiritual spark. And literally we have about 3,000 of them, which you can get on demand. So join our class action lawsuit if you feel that you've been hurt, that you need help in being able to fight against people who stole the copyright. A little background about using the electrophysiological feedback zeroid vibrational medicine to balance the brain and correct mental disease. I'm Professor of Medicine Desiree Dubonnet, the man who left America to find freedom, who's no longer a man, but a beautiful woman. I've worked with many different scientists over the years to help to bring to you a whole new idea, the body, mind, spirit, social and environmental, holistic view of what we are. Having worked with Hans Selye on the idea of stress being the basic cause of all problems, and that we need to look beyond just the last straw, but to look at many different factors of stress. And if we're going to deal with any mental disease, we have to correct the gut flora. This is very important. We need to be able to correct the gut flora and recognize that what you eat is extremely important in dealing with your mental disease. We need to tell people what not to eat and avoid synthetic foods and synthetic compounds, and what to eat and how to eat better. There's whole different courses that we have with much more refined detail. Now, when we get to behavioral medicine, we find out that what we reward, we get more of. What we ignore, we get less of. These are the basic ideas of B.F. Skinner. What could be more rewarding than having a therapist telling you that they feel sorry for your problem and they want to talk about it over and over again? So we found that talk therapy cannot get to the basic problems of most mental disease. They can help you figure things out, but they can't get to the basic problem. There's misdiagnosis, emphasis on the pills, synthetics, lots of problems with the medical system. Now, when I worked with Dr. Sperry, we found out that there was indeed a split brain. And the split brain meant that there was different factors in dealing with the body and the brain. And truly, for the first time, we could understand Zen and Eastern philosophy, that there was a different, non-scientific, non-verbal part of the brain. People had concentrated so much on the verbal part, recognizing now that there is a right brain that is able to do more intuitive and dream states of visualization. So as we started to understand more about the brain, we started to recognize that many different diseases could be caught in one part of the brain, on the left or the right side. And in order to discharge this, we would have to be able to treat the whole brain. So I developed the EPFX device. Well, the mind can do anything. It just takes time. You have to be able to grow your mind and take care of your body. Here I am entering the 75th year of life. I've made movies about my life. If you want to hear them, Dangerous Truth 1, 2, and 3, showing all the different facets about my life up until a couple years ago when I came to Albuquerque. So I'm about ready to make Dangerous Truth 4. Dangerous Truth to help you to understand. But we got to deal with the backstabbers. We got to deal with these liars, these cheats. We have to be able to deal with the slander and the libel. Don't just listen to these things. You know, if you have questions, make a conference call. Just do a simple conference call. Well, here I am, Desiree Dubonnet. I've had open thoughts and genius thoughts to help change medicine, help change the world, help people to accept their sexuality, to understand that they have choices, to broaden and expand their mind. I've rewritten medicine to the point of helping to make electroceuticals, not just pharmaceuticals. But we have to be able to deal, and we have to be able to deal with truth. And if somebody's telling you some lies or slander behind my back, do a conference call. Get a hold of me. Just do a conference call with the liar. Just connect. We can do it on Zoom. We can do it on Messenger. Do it any way you want. Let's open our minds and let's talk and discuss. When we turn on the lights, the cockroaches will run to the wall.